Hey there! Ever just stop and wonder how on earth scientists make sense of the millions of animal species out there? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the really elegant system they use to bring some order to the beautiful chaos of the animal kingdom.
And I'm not kidding about the numbers. Our planet is absolutely teeming with animals. So far, scientists have identified and named over 1 million different species. And get this, that number is always climbing as we find new ones. It's incredible.
So you're a biologist and you're faced with this, monumental filing challenge? Where do you even start? Well, they developed a really clever set of rules to classify every single animal, from the simplest little sponge all the way up to the most complex mammals.
All right, let's get into it. To classify an animal, you don't actually start with things like fur or feathers. Nope, you go way deeper to something much more fundamental, their basic body plan. You can think of it as their architectural blueprint.
And the very first thing biologists look at in that blueprint is symmetry. It's a simple question, really. If you were to slice an animal, could you get 2 matching halves? And how many different ways could you make that slice and still have it work?
This brings us to the 2 main types. On one hand, you've got radial symmetry, like a jellyfish. You can slice it like a pizza from any angle through the middle and get identical pieces. But then you have bilateral symmetry, which is what we have. There's only one way to slice us down the middle to get 2 mirror image halves. That gives us a distinct front and back, and a top and bottom. The next clue isn't on the outside, it's internal. It's whether or not the animal has a body cavity, which has a fancy name, a coelom. And this isn't just some empty space, it's a fluid-filled cushion that gives all the internal organs protection and room to grow and move around.
Not all body cavities are created equal. Some animals have a true coelom, which is completely lined with tissue. Others have a false one that's only partially lined. And some, well, they don't have one at all. And this difference is another one of those key sorting tools for biologists.
Okay, so now we have our rules, right? We're looking at their organization, their symmetry, and their coelom. Let's see how these simple principles help us build a really logical family tree out of that seemingly chaotic mess of over 1 million species.
So, the first big split, right at the base of the tree, is all about complexity. On one branch, you have animals like sponges, which are really just a loose organization of cells. And on the other, you have, well, pretty much everything else, all the animals that have organized tissues and organs.
Now, after we've set the sponges aside on their own branch, the next big split comes from symmetry. All the radially symmetrical animals, think jellyfish and sea anemones, they branch off here, and that leaves this one enormous group of bilaterally symmetrical animals.
And this is where that internal body cavity, the coelom, comes back into play. It's the final piece of the puzzle for sorting this huge group. Whether an animal has a true coelom, a false one, or none at all, that's what determines which major group, or phylum, it belongs to.
What you end up with is this beautifully organized library of life, with each major phylum getting its own shelf. So, what do you say we take a quick walk down the aisles and check out a few of these shelves?
First up, the biggest shelf in the whole library, phylum Arthropoda. These are the insects, spiders, and crustaceans. With their jointed legs and tough exoskeletons, they are, without a doubt, the rulers of the animal kingdom, making up more than 2/3 of all known species. That's just mind-boggling.
Next, we've got phylum Mollusca, the second largest group. These guys are all soft-bodied creatures, and the range is just incredible. You've got everything from a slow little garden snail to the amazingly intelligent octopus. Then there's the phylum Echinodermata, which literally means spiny skin. Think starfish, sea urchins. And here's a super cool twist with them. Their babies, the larvae, actually start out with bilateral symmetry, but as they grow into adults, they switch back to a 5-part radial form. How cool is that?
But hold on, what about our branch? Where do we fit in all of this? Well, that question takes us to our very own group, phylum Chordata. This is the group that includes all vertebrates, and yep, that includes us.
So what makes a chordate a chordate? It really all comes down to one single feature that they have at some point in their life. It's a flexible, rod-like structure called a notochord, and it provides some crucial support. This table really lays out the fundamental differences. Chordates, like us, have that notochord, a hollow nerve cord that runs down our back and a tail at some point in our lives. Non-chordates? They're built completely differently. It really shows a major fork in the evolutionary road.
Now, inside the chordates, there's a very famous subgroup that you'll definitely recognize: the vertebrates. This is the branch of the family that includes us and a lot of the animals we're most familiar with.
And here is the absolute key idea to remember. Invertebrates, that notochord we talked about, develops into a backbone made of bone or cartilage. But, and this is the important part, some of the simpler chordates keep that notochord their whole lives and never get a true backbone.
So this diverse group of vertebrates includes all the major classes of animals you'd expect. We've got fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and of course, mammals.
This is where you find the amphibians, true masters of the dual life, moving so easily between water and land. And it also includes the reptiles, with their tough, scaly skin that lets them thrive in some really harsh environments. And finally, we get to the warm-blooded birds, members of Class Aves, with their wings beautifully adapted for flight. And then there's Class Mammalia, our group, totally unique because we have hair and produce milk.
So there you have it. We see how a few logical rules can reveal the shared history and the deep connections between more than 1 million different species. This tree of life organizes everything we currently know, but it also makes you wonder, right? What undiscovered branches, what incredible new creatures are still out there just waiting for us to find them?